Greetings, I'm Layert, and this is Gods of Semen, a place of transformation where spirituality, science, and personal growth all come together to uncover the full potential of men via the practice of seminal retention. You're welcome to escape the weariness, worry, and sense of being lost. Each method I offer is a step closer to having more energy, a clearer head, and a purposeful life. According to my research and experiences, seminal retention is a revolutionary route that can uplift your spirit, enlighten your mind, and revitalize your body. It's important to keep in mind that I will only respond to inquiries from people who have contributed more than $5. This not only helps the channel, but also gives more men access to this groundbreaking information. Continue watching this video through to the conclusion, as I will share important details and thought-provoking ideas that have the potential to alter your reality. Join this group of real fighters who are committed to breaking down barriers and achieving a life of wealth and meaning by subscribing right away and pressing the bell. I am engrossed in this theme because I really believe that the soul's journey, which is characterized by difficulties, suffering, and changes, has a profound significance that transcends the shallow interpretations that society typically imposes. Ahead of the Gods of Semen, I, Layert, give me the assurance that every decision, no matter how agonizing, is a holy call to save the innate spirit that resides within us. Addiction and suffering are not just mistakes or character flaws, as I have learned from my own experience and the careful observation of others who come into contact with me. Rather, they are expressions of an ancestral language that the soul uses to express its desire to return to the state of complete union with the universe, which was peaceful, unconditionally loving, and filled with a sense of absolute belonging in our pre-enclosed existence. As souls, we make a sacred bargain of forgetfulness when we incarnate. We temporarily forget this incalculable reality in order to feel the boundaries, suffering, and evidence of physical existence. And it is during this lapse that the sense of separation and loneliness is so subtle yet terrible. In my skin and in the experiences of others, I sense that this condition of separation is the ideal environment for addiction to grow, not as a curse or a punishment from God, but as a deliberate strategy to face the delusion that separates us from our own selves. Since fleeting pleasures are only temporary replacements for what truly nourishes us, the reunion with the innate source of love and integration, every self-destructive behavior, impulse, and compulsive behavior that seeks solace in a glass, a drug, or a compulsive behavior reveals an inner hunger. Addiction is actually a coded language used by the soul to communicate the absence of the inner home and to remind us of the strong sense of belonging that united us with our entire being. I discovered that by acknowledging this frantic yearning, we might come to understand this. Numerous times, as I became more deeply immersed in the teachings that underpin the practice of spiritual development and seminal retention, I came to understand that true strength only manifests when we confront our shadows head-on with courage. This initially intense pain is the opportunity to awaken consciousness, the chance to transform suffering into wisdom, and ultimately into genuine compassion. As someone who has already experienced a great deal of suffering and seen men, many of whom are young, give in to destructive tendencies without even realizing that every act of self-destruction carries the echo of a silent cry for return, I know that it is not weakness, but rather the great courage of those who choose to pursue their own redemption despite profound emptiness. This trip, which is like to traversing an emotional desert, teaches us that the path to healing is not to avoid pain, but to embrace it, figure out its hidden meaning, and let it guide us gradually back to our true selves. Addiction, in my opinion, is a manifestation that, despite its shadowy surroundings, bears the seed of a profound metamorphosis. It is a summons to overcome the delusion of isolation and rediscover our innate connectedness to the entire. In my thoughts, I've come to the realization that there is a sad beauty in confronting our shortcomings, since genuine progress starts with this direct interaction with oneself. A man can become a true spiritual warrior, someone who can embrace his darkness to create a new light, a new way of loving and responding to the universe, if he absorbs the teachings that are taught by every tear, every agony, and every moment of despair. This vision, which may seem contradictory to me, is, in my opinion, the real meaning of transformation. When we let ourselves experience every emotion in its entirety, free from masks or other distractions, we discover that the emptiness that so haunts us is actually a premonition of a rebirth, a fusion with the truth that transcends all forms of any tax conditioning. Every step in this quest for self-knowledge is a rescue of our divine identity, a reconquest of the memory of the home that, even if forgotten, was never truly lost. I know this because I have already traversed the valley of the shadows and have felt the despair of being lost. According to this perspective, addiction manifests as a subliminal signal, a silent warning that prompts us to examine ourselves, dismantle our egos, and acknowledge that the real source of contentment and well-being always lies within. Even if this message is harsh and incisive, it also calls us to a genuine reconciliation with our true selves and to give up on methods that only momentarily alleviate suffering but ultimately lead us to fall short of the wholeness we seek. As I grow from this viewpoint, I see that the path to self-awareness, tainted by the difficulties of addiction and pain, is a never-ending rediscovery trajectory, where every setback is an opportunity to grow stronger and realize that genuine evolution occurs when we accept every aspect of who we are, even the parts that appear flawed or frail. This conviction motivates me every day to confront my own suffering from the perspective of someone who knows that every cycle of suffering conceals a special opportunity for rebirth, the opportunity to transform scars into badges of bravery and to use sorrow as fuel to awaken. Have you ever pictured yourself changing your life totally and reaching a new level of conscience? The secret to this inward transformation is in my recently published book, Alchemy of the Gods. You will learn about the spiritual emancipation that surpasses all of your previous experiences, the millennial mysteries of Kundalini, and the vibrational power of crystalline oil. This book was written for guys who wish to restore their vital vitality, sharpen their focus, and rediscover their full potential because it offers profound and useful ideas. Alchemy of the Gods, which is available in print, digital, and audiobook formats, is intended to be impactful and accessible for any man pursuing spiritual and personal development, regardless of where he is in the process. To guarantee your copy and begin this transformation right now, click the link in the description and comment section. First of all, though, I have something new that you might not have anticipated. I provide the audiobook Semen Retention Success Path, which covers the 6 main concepts of seminal retention in over 2 hours of compelling and eye-opening content. This feature is the key to regaining focus, releasing your vital energy, and attaining long-term personal development. Additionally, by buying this audiobook, you will receive a special bonus of 30% off the 20-page Art of Semen Retention for Men, which contains sophisticated procedures for your spiritual development, emotional equilibrium, and the discovery of your actual life's purpose. For those like you who believe there is more to conquer, this special opportunity was created. To take advantage of special YouTube perks like priority answers, early access to transformative content, and many more that will help us sustain this dynamic and revolutionary movement, join us and become an active member of the Gods of Semen channel. His involvement is essential to spreading these inspiring stories and changing the lives of more men worldwide. Don't hesitate any longer. Click the link, guarantee your products, and join the community that is creating a new narrative about power, lighting, and resilience. Understanding these subtleties, in my opinion, is essential for men who aspire to actual progress in order to rise above the constrained life that has been given to us, to free ourselves from the bonds of delusion, and to assume the protagonism of our own history with all the responsibilities that go along with it. Every act of self-confrontation and every choice to stay true to oneself is a declaration of bravery and independence that draws us ever closer to that precious essence that, despite the layers of everyday life, is still alive and throbbing. I understand that this journey is not for the weak, but rather for those who have the guts to embrace their own suffering and see it as the gateway to a truth that transcends the surface. This truth ultimately seeks out external refuge and starts to look inward, with sincerity, without passing judgment, and with an almost sacred disposition of reconnecting each fragment of our lost identity. For me, the most genuine display of strength is this search, which takes place over innumerable moments of reflection and internal conflict. For only by confronting one's darkness can a man genuinely shine and become a beacon for those who follow in his footsteps. I realize that every difficulty, every painful moment, and every addiction experience are, above all, a special chance to rediscover one's own divine nature, and to remember that, in spite of the difficulties, the love and tranquility we seek are always there, patiently waiting to be rediscovered in the depths of our being. This realization, which came about as a result of my own crisis and introspection, leads me to firmly believe that the road to healing and self-awareness is not paved with pain denial, but rather with the complete acceptance of all human experience, including its darker aspects, which, when accepted with the right perspective, can be potent tools for spiritual and personal growth. I embrace the conviction that every moment lived with intensity and every difficulty faced with bravery is an opportunity to become more conscious, more entire, and, most importantly, more connected to the truth that lies at our core, even in the midst of the challenges and scars caused by distressing events. The possibility of rebirth and fullness continues to throb inside of us, hoping that we will bravely and sincerely allow ourselves to return to that sacred home we never stop inhabiting. This journey, which becomes more revealing with each step taken with intention and discernment, is evidence that even when everything seems lost, I discover the actual meaning of my path in this ongoing conversation between suffering and light, between hopelessness and hope, and I am strengthened to keep searching for a closer relationship with my own soul and the universe that binds us all together in an irrevocable and eternal way. Every experience, no matter how terrible it may seem at first, teaches us a valuable lesson that is essential to the healing process. It is by paying attention to these lessons that we come to realize that addiction is not the enemy, but rather a guide that leads us back to the grace and fullness that existed before forgetting. This journey taught me that acknowledging one's own vulnerability is not a sign of weakness or guilt, because it is exactly this vulnerability that makes us human and enables us to truly and profoundly experience love. I extend an invitation to everyone who comes with me to recognize in their own times of crisis the chance to reinvent themselves, to break free from the cycle of pain, and to realize that we are primarily beings of light, capable of healing and changing not only ourselves, but also the world around us. This insight, which stems from the quiet of introspection and the bravery to examine oneself, served as the foundation for my own path of healing and development. It is also the message I wish to convey to any man who, with perseverance and faith, seeks to rediscover his true self and turn every obstacle into a more conscious, complete, and integrated life. Accepting that suffering is actually the doorway to a greater kind of love and wisdom has helped me realize that real success comes from embracing suffering and turning it into transformative energy that can elevate not just the individual, but also everyone who has the honor of traveling this same path of self-discovery and rebirth. Even though the journey can be difficult and full of obstacles, the reward of returning to the sacred source of our existence is incomparable and transcends any narrow concept of success or failure. Every day presents a fresh chance to preserve the memory of who we have been, to honor the true nature that resides within each of us, and to realize that the flame of hope never goes out, and it shines with renewed intensity in those who are willing to face themselves with courage, to recognize themselves in every fall, and, most importantly, to rise with the determination to rewrite their own history. I allow myself to acknowledge this with humility and gratitude. Every action and decision we make in the face of hardship serves as an unwavering testament to the inner strength that each of us possesses. And it gives me the conviction that we are all capable of changing our reality and re-establishing our connection to the truth that has always been inscribed in the stars and etched in our deepest selves. This path of self-discovery and triumph, which I celebrate with all the earnestness of a man who has already experienced a great deal, teaches me every day that real freedom is embracing one's humanity with all of its flaws, and that by doing so, we are able to restore the fullness that was meant for us, thus achieving the sacred purpose of every soul that seems to be striving to return home. Have you ever experienced hopelessness as worry and a sense of purposelessness appear to overwhelm you? I can relate to this suffering since I've experienced the same labyrinth of uncertainty and exhaustion, when every day felt like an unending struggle against an inner emptiness. But in reality, this suffering is the seed of a profound metamorphosis. It is your soul's cry to recover the vital energy and rediscover its true nature. This is your chance to end this cycle of uncertainty and discover a potential that beyond your wildest dreams. To continue this path of self-discovery and metamorphosis, subscribe to the channel and view the suggested video.